What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and getting cautiously optimistic about this Pistons team. Unfortunately, the Pistons were not able to take care of business last night in their NBA Cup qualifying do or die game against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks won the game by a score of 128 to 107. In this video, want to briefly recap that game, even though I don't have a ton to say on it, and then talk about what the implications are, the two new games that have been scheduled for the Pistons now that they have been eliminated from the NBA Cup, and then also talk briefly about the Pistons game tonight where they are on the road to take on the juggernaut, the Boston Celtics, and just kind of how things are shaping up in general now. So, to talk about the game last night, there's a lot of different directions we could go with it. Typically, if you guys watch my channel, you know I highlight a couple player performances I liked, but I don't want to do that for this game because I really don't think that there was anybody who played great enough to get those honors. There was a couple decent games from a stat line perspective. Cade had his 23 points, Tobias had his 16, whatever. But the name of the game was the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks got hotter than fish grease from the three-point line, and a lot of the blowing assignments led to those three-pointers being way more open than you would like, especially considering how they were shooting for the rest of the night. The Bucks finished the game 23 of 41 from behind the three-point line. That's good for 56% from three. And I would love to see what those stats were like before garbage time or in the first three quarters, because around the time where the Bucks had finally broken their lead out to about a 20-point game, the Bucks were something like 15 of 21 from three. So there's a lot of different ways you can look at that. You can see it on the film, the fact that there was a few or many missed coverages and blown assignments and miscommunications that led to many of those three-pointers being wide open, catch and shoot jumpers. Or you could also just look at it and know that even no matter how open you leave some of these guys like Bobby Portis, he's not going to shoot 4 of 7 from 3 every night, especially when AJ Green is 3 of 3 and Taurean Prince is 4 of 4. I mean, these dudes just couldn't miss from 3, which made it really hard for us to get the ball rolling in any other direction. The Pistons also kept up their main problem so far this year, which is turning the ball over. They finished the game with 18 turnovers last night. Currently, as of today, we are 24th in the league in turnovers. It feels like we should be 30th because if you watch the games, we turn over the ball way too often, even in very important situations. It's not just Cade either. Last night, Duren had 3 turnovers, Ivey had 2, Stewart had 3, Ausar had 2, a bunch of other guys chipped in with 1, and Cade had his 4. So just too many turnovers and too many made threes from the Bucks made this game practically impossible to win. You could also turn and pivot towards the officiating piece. I mean, I really tend to not go too hard on the refs typically, but Giannis does get a pretty favorable whistle. He's one of a kind player, one of the very few players in NBA history who is able to do what he does, which a lot of times is just catching the ball at the three-point line, going to the hoop and drawing contact, even in situations where it looks like he's the one initiating it. A lot of times he ends up at the free throw line, and for whatever reason, despite Giannis being like a career 60% free throw shooter, his free throw percentage is like 90 against us. So just something that I suppose we have to live with. As of right now, I saw a stat the other night that said that we had lost 22 of the last 23 games that we've played against the Milwaukee Bucks. That checks out. It seems like the Bucks with Giannis, while he has been there, has been a team that we really can't beat. And yeah, that just sucks. So hopefully sooner than later we can get over that hump. But want to turn now and talk about the games that were added onto the schedule for the Pistons. So, in case you guys weren't aware, of course, with all this NBA Cup stuff going on, if we would have beat the Bucks, we would have advanced on to the final 8 teams. But since we didn't, we still get 2 additional regular season games scheduled to kind of make up for that stopgap where there's no games because we could have qualified. So, we got a pretty bad draw on this one, too. We are playing the Boston Celtics on the road on December 12th, and then the Miami Heat at home December 16th. So that means that our schedule coming up will go at Boston tonight, and then at New York Saturday, and then at Boston again next Thursday. and then back home for Miami, and then back home for Utah. So that means 2 of our next 3 games are going to be games against the Boston Celtics, both on the road in Boston. Just not an ideal situation. As far as the game goes tonight, I mean, would love to see our guys bounce back and put up a good performance against the Boston Celtics. However, the unfortunate part is the Celtics are probably the best team in the league still at this point, even if the Cavs or whatever have a better record. And I think that our good performance won't get us a win. Our great performance might get us a win. If we play our best, then we actually have a chance to beat the Celtics. But it's going to take the best of our guys to be able to put up a fight against the Celtics, because the team is just very, very tough and well-rounded, that Celtics team is. So really not much more you can say there. And it does worry me because right now, what are we, 9-14? Very easily could lose this game on the road to Boston, and then lose the next game on the road to the Knicks, and then lose the next game on the road in Boston again. And that would put us all the way down at 9-17. And I very well could see that happening, because for that not to happen, we have to get a win on the road against one of the premier teams in the Eastern Conference. And that's just going to be difficult to do. So really, really just hoping for the best here, even though I'm not sure that'll happen, because there's a real way that this could get to be a little bit out of hand and trending in the right direction, opposite of where we were headed, just considering the schedule we have coming up and everything in between. Also, the fact that we have now lost 3 of our last 4 games, and we've also lost 6 of our last 8 games. So not trending in the right direction at the moment, which is very unfortunate, especially considering that our schedule on the horizon is not getting any easier. But would love to see these guys show some fight, go out in Boston here tonight, and actually just play the best they can. I know that we're going to need to turn over the ball less, and we're going to have to count on the Celtics not shooting 60% from 3. But if those 2 things happen, that will anyways be a step in the right direction, and maybe will give us a chance to be in this game. So yeah, just a little disappointing. I guess maybe I got a little ahead of myself with the whole NBA Cup thing. Hearing the players like Beasley and Cade talking about we're going to Vegas after the Pacers win made me go from not caring one bit about the NBA Cup to being pretty locked in for the whole thing. So not being able to get that win against Milwaukee, and more importantly, not even really having a chance to compete because the game was done by the time the fourth quarter started, essentially, does hurt a little bit. So let me know what you guys think, and we'll catch up soon.